So, hello and welcome. My name is George. I'm here today to interview Jack and Austen about In My Head, the short film that they've worked on together. So, Jack obviously starring in the lead role and Austen as director. Just going to have a little discussion for half an hour or so, however kind of long it goes on for, about the film, how it came about, how it was executed, all that kind of thing, and everything that went into it. So, I think I don't know who wants to take this one specifically. Maybe Jack, you want to go first, or whose kind of ideas did this film stem from in the first place?
Um, well, we kind of stemmed from one of my songs, basically. That's kind of where we kind of got the title from and kind of what we could kind of work with. Because like we didn't have this film planned at all. Like we had a different film ready to be filmed, and the lead actress dropped out because of illness. Austin lives in Bath. He travelled to London, so he was already staying at my house. We're like, right, we need to film something whilst he's here. Uh, I had to wake you up, didn't I? I had to be like, Austin, I've got a little problem.
Yeah, yeah. I remember you had to head out to work or something, or you were um
I
you
think
had
I
to
was
go out
like,
in the morning, and I sort of sat there. I was sleeping on Jack's sofa, and I just came up with. I wrote like a little intro because I come all that way. I wasn't going to sort of waste my journey, so I wrote the intro to the film, and then from that we just kind of created the rest of it there and then. Um, I think we called up like football clubs and
yeah, we
um,
did. Yeah.
yeah, we tried to get as many like locations as we could on such short notice. And I think we just ended up filming outside the O2 for a bit. That was our
Yeah.
proper location.
Yeah, it's really interesting. It's quite a trek, Bath to London. That is quite a long way to go. You kind of do want something to get your teeth stuck into if you're going that distance. So yeah, that makes sense. But like, were there any specific reasons why this became the idea that you guys kind of worked on? Because obviously, if you're just starting from scratch and kind of working on a project, kind of like quite quickly, was there a reason you opted for this kind of like subject matter, this sort of topic, or was it something that's very close to home, or something that you've like observed
Mm.
within other people, or is it just kind of like an idea that you formed? Was there like a reason behind that?
Well, the original film was going to be mental health based. Anyway. So we kind of both thought that we'd keep it on that track, and we've kind of I know kind of from speaking to all three of us on this meeting that we've all kind of been through all our mental health issues and stuff. So it's just it just kind of made sense for us to kind of still continue down that line. And I just thought it was quite fitting really, like from kind of the ideas that Austin came up with in the morning, and then kind of going, right, we've got a song that I've written previously, use that as a bit of a base because it's kind of in my head. Oh, what a good title to go on for a mental health film, do you know?
Definitely, yeah. It all kind of like seems like it came together very well. A couple of coincidences, but overall, kind of just all kind of merged together quite well. I watched the film again because I'd already seen. I think you sent me a little bit of it beforehand, but like I watched the whole thing like again just to refresh myself, and it does kind of come full circle in terms of like the music with the film itself. It does work kind of like and go hand in hand, and it's very, I'd say, a very relatable situation. Austin, is it like a situation that you found yourself in? Was it something that you've kind of experienced yourself as well? And how kind of like happy were you to get your teeth stuck into this project that kind of worked very well for like the both of you, and kind of you could both go into with personal experiences and things like that?
Yeah, great question. So I've had a very, very similar experience because alongside Jack, I'm also a musician, and oh, I thought I muted myself there for a second. Never mind. I'll take that again. Yeah, no, I've had very similar experiences from just sort of burnout from working on other projects, and then just completely shutting down physically and socially. It's just sort of waking up every single day and not, um, I don't know, just being numb to everything that was around me. So it was a project that I could fully immerse myself in. And when it came to sort of directing the scenes, it wasn't unfamiliar territory. Sorry. Yeah, it was yeah, really, really interesting project to do and again in such a short period of time. It was just, yeah, it was a really fun shoot as well. So
Yeah.
There's a lot of traipsing across East London, basically. Like we kind of set off, met kind of the other two actors who joined us. Like Karl originally was supposed to be in the first film we were doing. Lewis came along to kind of just give us a hand, and like he's had a bit of acting experience before, but he's never really done anything like kind of on screen. So yeah, we just like went to the cable cars, filmed on there, went to the O2. Our we couldn't get back to my house basically, so the tube got suspended. So we had to walk back to my house. And we're like, why don't we try that pub in there? So we tried that pub and managed to get that as a location. So, and that's probably my favorite scene from the film.
yeah, and well, it's great sort of guerrilla filming, especially if you go to like a pub, because you see a lot of bigger projects, they'll have all the like fake drinks because they'll do like 30 takes of a scene and they don't want their actors getting absolutely pissed. But this was all just ad lib everything. So each time we filmed, it was like a continuous take. We could go from any point and have it make sense in a way. So they were happily sat there drinking beer and doing actual tequila shots as well. And
yeah, what I really like though is like there's a bit where I get kind of dragged from behind the bar.
Yeah.
Just the reactions are just so natural, and I think that's what you kind of really get from like doing things like ad-libbing and stuff, that everything is just really natural. And I just love the smiles on all our faces, like even though like it's a subject which you don't really associate with smiles and laughter, but when you can get that out of it, it's just, yeah, it was a really fun shoot.
Yeah, I'd say like sorry, no, carry on.
Oh no, yeah. It was just every shot that we were getting in all the different places, other than the ones that were in Jack's flat. It was literally just a happenstance as well. Like the table that we were sat at right near some like really lovely lights, and the light on their faces was all sort of really ambient. You actually like felt like you were sat there at the table with them. Because I mean, I suppose it's because I really was. I was hand holding a lot of the shots. I didn't walk around London with a tripod. I didn't bring a gimbal with me, so I feel like you're more of a fly on the wall to this story, because it really is just filmed like that. Sorry, that's what I. Yeah.
That is one thing. I was just going to say, yeah. Well, from me as just like a viewer of the film, for me it did kind of shine through that it was not something that's like 50 takes for every single scene. Like in the pub down in like 50 pints of apple juice and stuff. It looked like natural, and I think that goes hand in hand with it being a film that kind of has that subject matter. It works that it's kind of very raw and very natural, and it's good that you can see that, but also not in a negative sense, in that like it looks like shoddy or like there's mistakes or anything like that. It just looks like raw. It looks like it's been done in a take or a few takes, but that works really, really well in its favor. Like it adds to it rather than taking away from it. Like it's not kind of like overly like dramatized. It is quite raw, and I think that works really well. I was just wondering, like, do you guys have any more stories from like the whole production process or anything like that? I know you had a few kind of setbacks with various things like you've just spoken about. I don't know if you have any any more stories or anything like that, or you'd rather talk about the topic a little bit more. It's completely up to you guys, I guess.
I don't know. It's just like kind of off takes, really. Like because we didn't really have any locations planned for this film, it was just kind of coming up with kind of things at the same time. So it's like Austen getting his camera out on the tube and like secretly filming, or
Yeah, it's really subtle to be sorry, really difficult to be subtle with my camera as well because it builds out. You can't just film it when it's just film with it when it's just a box. There's like a whole rig that has to go with it. So when you're stealthily trying to film a quite poignant shot on the tube, which is one of my favorite just individual shots. It's just you can see the
Yeah,
guy in the background, but it feels like a London tube. It does still feel cramped and uncomfortable, but it's just a one little like 1 second, 2 second shot. But
yeah. It was
yeah,
kind of like like COVID wasn't big at that time, but it was still like everyone was wearing masks, and we were adamant we didn't want anything like we didn't really want masks or anything. So it's like getting that shot in without like any passengers like next to us with masks on and stuff like that. But then it's like you remember that guy in the pub as well when we were outside doing the cigarette scene, and then like,
yeah.
we were just talking to that guy for ages, weren't we?
I had to, yeah, I filmed a lot of that as well. That does, I'm happy to put like a bloopers reel together so we can sort of see some of the actual interactions that we had with people. There was just a bloke that was sat out there when Jack and Karl were smoking, and they just had like a 10-15 minute long chat. Just he was interested in what we were doing and started talking about his life as well. It
Mm.
was odd, but very interesting.
Yeah, and I think other the only other bad thing that happened was Austen losing footage to my trip to Bath. I repaid the favor and went to Bath to film like the end of the film. And yeah,
Yeah.
where did that footage go, Austin?
I honestly do not know. I don't know where the SD. I've checked every single SD card that I have because we couldn't shoot on the SSD. I forgot it or something, or it was full, and for some reason we couldn't shoot with it. So I had to buy a high-powered SD card, and it's just gone missing.
Yeah. So I had a nice weekend in Bath.
Yeah, it was good, and we didn't have any proper busking equipment, so we went to a guitar shop and borrowed a broken amp that we didn't even plug in.
No, we didn't.
No, it's just it was it was a cool shot, and we had these blokes come up to us and start playing my guitar for a bit as well.
Yeah, yeah, that was funny. That was funny.
Yeah. Oh well.
Nice. It's good
Yeah.
that you've got all these kind of stories out of it as well, like on a personal level. I guess from like a production perspective, it proves that you can have these little setbacks and you can still put together something that's like really meaningful, and quite powerful for people. I think as well, people would love to see a bloopers reel. I know I'd love to see that. So that should definitely be something, if you're interested in doing it. I'd say as well, the next thing that I kind of wanted to move on to was, what do you, if anything, what do you want people watching this film to get out of it? What do you want them to kind of feel when they experience it and sort of take from it? Firstly, I guess, is that something that you considered before making it? And also now that it's kind of completed and it's out there, is there any sort of takeaways that you do want people to actually get from it?
Well, I think
Hmm.
so for sure. Like, I think that's kind of one of the reasons I've kind of planned these kind of mental health short films. Like, I've always wanted to do like a trilogy of them. Like, I've already got one that's already out there on my channel. So I've written like two more as well, which are ready to go whenever we kind of decide to do them. And it just comes to make people aware and just let people know it's all right to share and talk about things. You know what I mean? It's like we've discussed on your podcast before as well, George. It's like there's still kind of that stigma attached to mental health, and especially within men as well, who you just kind of just just open up a little bit more. Do you know what I mean? So, like, I've already had like a couple of messages from people already, just being like, "Oh, it's just nice to see you in that light," and kind of I find that really relatable, and it kind of it does make you feel proud of what you've produced when you kind of do get messages like that.
Yeah. Um, if one takeaway that I want people to sort of, feel or just, or something they should take away from the film even is you can lean on your friends. They're not there to like judge you at all. And often when I've been really struggling, it's sort of I'll go to one of my best mates, I'll talk about it, and most of the time, just talking about it for a bit eases the pain. Um, and it's just something that it's not so much done anymore. I suppose there's a lot of social media driven anxiety, and everyone wants to be that perfect person because that's what people on the internet say, that they sort of lose touch with how they should be treated in a way, and how um, they can talk to people. But a lot of mental health stuff is resurfacing at the moment, which is really good to see. Um, and I think we did a good job of showing that you can lean on your friends.
What would you
Yeah.
say you took from it, George?
Yeah, I would say I did. I took that because I guess at the start of the film, obviously, when you're kind of you're like in your flat and your mate comes over and is kind of bugging you to go out and stuff like that, you're kind of thinking, you can tell he just wants to be left alone, and that was the initial thought. It was like, oh, this is a friend who, for me, I was like, this is a friend who can't see these signs that this guy just wants to kind of be left alone and kind of and that kind of thing. And obviously, it covers those two kind of things, which I guess are similar and different in some ways. The whole sort of peer pressure thing, where that it is a bit of a male thing to be like, oh no, it's all good, just come out anyway, like you'll be fine. Just kind of almost put. I think we spoke, Jack, about my podcast, which is launching in the new year in 2023. We spoke a little bit about we spoke a fair bit about the film, and we spoke specifically about kind of the mental health side of it, and how not just men, but men specifically in this instance kind of feel like they need to put a mask on sometimes and kind of put a front on in order to sort of perform in front of their friends or keep up this kind of act and stuff like that. And I know, Jack, you were saying about how, like, if you do go out with your mates like regularly or semi-regularly or whatever, and you kind of have a reputation of being kind of quite outgoing, quite confident, kind of like life and soul kind of thing, you realistically aren't always going to feel like that, but you feel like you have to put that on all the time. And I think there's that side of it. But then at the same time, as Austen was saying, like at the same time, there's the other side of it, where having those social interactions, getting out there and talking and kind of speaking, communicating with your friends, being honest with them, if they are true friends, then they will support you through that. And it's that whole kind of thing where you can see either sides of it. But I think it starts off on that note where I was kind of thinking, like, is this friend, does he have good intentions? Does he actually care that much? But then it kind of comes full circle and you look kind of like, actually, yeah, it ended up on a very positive note, and kind of getting Jack's character kind of like out of this sort of slump that he was in, whether it's temporary or not. I think that's one of the main things that I took from it as a positive, is what Austen was saying in terms of, like, if you have a good group of friends, even if it's just like 2 or 3, and then you should be able to like lean on them for support and be open and be honest with them, that kind of thing. And it is harder for men in a lot of ways. I think with men, obviously with mental health, there is still a stigma in general, but with men, it's kind of an even bigger stigma because of kind of typical masculine sort of tendencies that a lot of us men kind of feel like we have to live up to and kind of be the strong one in all situations. And it's not always easy to do that, or kind of the right thing to do that as well. So
I think what I kind of think there's, like, when we were filming it, I was kind of going through like a kind of bit of a bad stage. So like having to act a character who's suffering with their mental health whilst going through like a rough patch of my own mental health is a bit like, oh, okay. And like it's the one, like I wanted time off work at that stage. I just wasn't really feeling it. And it's like I think I said to you on your pod, George, like there's times when I used to go out where I could be like an Oscar award winning actor for the performances I was putting on to make people think that I was okay and I was just being myself. So it's been quite good looking back at this film now and saying, right, in a year, like I've kind of made progress. And I think that's a really good thing.
Definitely, yeah. Like it's one of those things where I think, do you think it kind of made it easier or harder to, if you say you weren't in the best place necessarily whilst you were filming, did that make it easier to kind of play that role, or do you think it made it more difficult?
I don't know, to be honest. I think it's like, I think some of it was second nature, but I think that's kind of what made it so. That's why the getting the ideas was so natural for us to do. Like it was very easy to go like, I get up, same routine, work shit, get home. So it's kind of just the routine that a lot of people were doing. So I think in that sense, it made it easier to do because we picked up the ideas a lot easier. And again, it's just kind of that relatable sense of the film.
Mm.
Yeah, Austin,
Yeah.
I don't know if you have kind of like any other kind of takeaways that you took specifically out of it as well, like whilst doing it or whilst watching it back or anything like that. Or I know you kind of said about the whole being able to lean on your friends and stuff like that. Was that kind of like the main thing? Was there anything else that you took back from it, either during the process or since?
I think, well, since filming, um, maybe not. Well, my takeaway, my initial takeaway of leaning on your friends is more like the moral of the story in a way. But my sort of looking back on how I was when I was filming and looking at where I am now, I definitely feel, you know, like I was closer to the character. Same with Jack then compared to how I am now, and I'm healthier mentally and I'm like more physically fit and I'm doing more things that I enjoy because I feel like it and not like using it as an escape. Like I used to write songs around that time that were, um, just because I didn't want to, write about how I was actually feeling. I'd make up like stories and turn them into songs, or I was writing a lot of sort of different scripts around then too. And now I've sort of got that more comfortable single focus instead of just rattling around random ideas in my head because I didn't want to be myself.
Mm.
Yeah, so that's
Mm.
yeah, that's where I am now, I suppose.
Yeah, no, I get that. I think did you guys say that this was filmed? When was it filmed exactly again? Was it about a year ago from when we're
Yeah.
Yeah, because I think it's a weird one because I was also, I know this isn't really relevant to the film, but I was also in that kind of like very low point at that stage, and it was probably like a month or two before we actually like met each other, Jack, for the first time, kind of back in
Yeah.
January 2022. And I just basically walked out of a few full-time jobs because I just was depressed
Mm.
and just wasn't feeling it. So it's interesting that like we've both, I think creativity can play a big part of it, and that's something that me and Jack have spoken about before in terms of like as an outlet for you to kind of put your feelings into. But then I guess as you were just saying, Austin, like that kind of whole thing where because I'm similar in the sense that I will write a poem or I'll start a short story or I'll write something and then I'll kind of will flip from one thing to the other and it's all kind of a bit of a mess. But having that focus and I guess having a project like the film to focus on was probably a positive thing for you guys. I know that always helps me if I kind of like put my all into one thing at a time. So I don't know if you have anything else that you guys want to speak about or kind of plug or just kind of highlight from the actual film itself.
No, just watch the film, enjoy the film. If you want to go and listen to the original song on my music channels, you can. And then just look out for what we're doing in the future. Basically, so me and Austin have got plans to work on more projects in the future. So obviously subscribe to the YouTube channel and subscribe to us and follow us and stuff, just so you can keep up to date. Because yeah, we've got some exciting things planned.
Yeah. I can give one slight thing away that we've got planned is we're doing hopefully a
Exciting.
feature film soon. Um, I can't give any details into it. I don't want to give anything away, but there's going to be a full hour and a half long feature that Jack's playing one of the leads in, actually.
Yeah,
So
an hour and a half worth of Jack. Lucky guy.
Definitely something to look forward to for everybody who's kind of viewing this channel then and has watched the film. Is it? You probably can't give anything away. Is there any other little hints or anything like that, or is it kind of early days?
Well, uh, the script's finished. There you go. That's
Cool.
all I
There we
can
go.
say.
That's good.
You know what?
That's
That's
good
a
enough.
great
Hopefully.
spoiler. That is. You know what?
It
I
is.
might nick that now.
Well, I guess at least people know that it's kind of a serious thing, and hopefully, and it will actually happen. So that is a good thing, yeah. But you're probably really excited to kind of open up more about that in the future and kind of, kind of get that going. But it's been a pleasure to talk to you guys. I don't know if there's any other little quick thing you want to say, or we're all done. Good to appear on the channel. Good to meet you, Austen, for the first time as well. So,
And you.
I had a great fun watching the film. Obviously, a lot of things to take away from it. A lot of highs and lows within, was it about 13, 14 minutes long? It does take you on kind of a journey. So hopefully everybody will enjoy it and keep getting a lot of positive messages and everything like that. So yeah, it's been great having a conversation.
I love how this Q&A is longer than the film itself.
Yeah. Thanks for watching, guys, and subscribe, please.
Subscribe.
Please.
Yeah, no, thank you, George, for talking.
No worries. Cheers.